Okay, so here we are, absolutely knowing the truth, and it's time for us to accept these words of truth I speak in a spiritual mind treatment. So, this word is being spoken for each one, and if there is anyone on this planet or off the planet or any place that you would like to have included, just think of that name, that place right now, and know that this word is also for them. I recognize now that there is one life, and all that is, all that this universe is, all that you can see and all that is invisible, all of its potential, all of its possibility, all that ever was, all of it is this one life. This one life that knows all, that is all, that is always seeking new ways to express itself, that is a creative action forever, creating new forms of expressing its essence, its true self, its unchanging goodness, its life, its light, its love, power, peace, beauty, harmony, joy. This life is recognized now, and it is recognized as expressing itself in, through, and as all creation, and that includes each one. Each one is a creation of this one life, created by this life in order to express its divine qualities. So each one is a creation of life, love, light, power, peace, beauty, harmony, joy. And no matter what anyone thinks about themselves, the truth is these qualities are present because it is the substance of this life, and each one is made out of the substance of life and nothing else. There is no other material from which anyone may be made. And so any and all belief in evil or bad or something rotten or things not working or the opposites to these divine qualities, as well as all belief in a possible opposite, it's all erased, evaporated, and vanished, gone forever. Because that which a clay is made of is what form, is what is in the form it takes. And so this divine substance that is these qualities, these divine spiritual qualities, is unchanged by whatever form it takes. And there is nothing that gets added into this divine substance. It is right now the substance of life, life itself, perfect, whole, and complete. That is the life that each one has. That is the substance from which each one's creation and expression flows from. So this life, perfect, whole, and complete, and being infinitely intelligent to take any form that that spirit of life desires to take, is the substance, is the life of each one. And so health and perfect functioning is what this substance, this spiritual substance, automatically does. It knows how to do it, and left alone, it does it. And so anything and anyone that is not believing in this perfect substance, this perfect life, its glorious health that is expressing, all belief that this divine substance needs some help in order to express perfectly, all belief that one needs some help in order to express this life perfectly, is erased, evaporated, and vanished. This one life takes its forms out of its own self, and each and every form it knows itself to be is infinitely intelligent and knows how to create and express itself in health and in wholeness always. It is the principle, the mothering principle of this life, to create itself as its substance is, as its qualities are, in its perfection, wholeness, and completeness. And built into its infinite intelligence is knowing how to operate in its form, in this material universe, in a way that is harmonious, that is healthy, that is peaceful, that is joyous, that is delightful in every way. This is the life that each one has. And that life is expressing itself as love, that divine urge of love to experience itself and to see itself and declare it is very good. That great I am that I am loves to see its new and wonderful expression. And this divine substance that each one is pure love. There any belief that one needs to get more love or is losing love or is not feeling the love, it's all it is. All those beliefs are immaterial, because the material that is the substance of love itself. And so each one is love, made by love, and that love is present everywhere that each one is, and each one is therefore more aware of this love. And in this greater awareness of love, each one is allowing that love to create and express loving manifestations in each one's world. It does it naturally, it does it normally, it does it wisely and intelligently, harmoniously, easily, and gracefully. And so any belief that one needs to make love happen, or that it's not there, or one is no good, is all vanished in the realization that each one is a whole, complete, pure, shining, beaming light of love, with infinite possibilities for expression, infinite possibilities of good, that there is a future greater good that is calling to each one, and each one accepts that natural, normal unfoldment of moving from good to greater good, that natural growth, evolving itself in its forms, intelligently, harmoniously, and wisely, moving its expression from that was good to this is even greater good. And no matter where one is, this greater good is calling each one to look forward, to be part of the creative activity of this life that is. And so all dwelling on the past, all fear of letting go, all looking at the facts of the now and focusing on them, and all belief or feeling that one is stuck, or any belief that one is not growing or moving forward, and all fascination with past memories and past glories. It's all by this word: erased, evaporate, and vanished. Nothing in the past holds any attraction to anyone, because each one is seeing with the light that is the substance of each one's being, and seeing the infinite possibilities of greater good yet to be. And each one is eager and enthusiastic and empowered to be a part of the creative activity in moving into the greater good. Each one has this deep desire to participate and to select and choose the forms of this greater good in all sorts of different wonderful ways. Each one is a joyous participant in creativity and is living a life that one loves completely, a life of empowerment, so that that substance of power that is present within is being felt by each one, lifting each one up and inspiring each one, and moving each one to claim that greater good, to see it, to claim it, and all old impulse of denying it, all belief in lack, loss, limitation, as well as any fear of moving into that greater good. Any fear caused by the belief that the greater good might not be good is all by this word erased, evaporated, and vanished. Each one is life, love, light, power. And with all this, each one is knowing that divine peace. I am that I am. Be still. Each one is still and knows that I am. And with this, a whole new harmonious and beautiful experience of living occurs, where everything works perfectly, where each one is loving and living their life with harmony, with peace, with wisdom, with joy, with love. All is given because at the start of creation is this one spiritual substance where all already is. Each one is living this life and grateful for it. And I am grateful. This is truth. I release this word to that loving law, that divine feminine principle that says yes and that nurtures each one forward into accepting all the truth that has been claimed here in this spiritual mind treatment. I let it go to that law. It is done, and so it is.
I'm finding myself at a loss for words. And the funny thing is, it's okay. The last thing I need is to be heard. But to hear what you would say, word of God speak, which pour down like rain, washing my eyes to see your majesty. Be still and know you're in this place. Please let me stay and rest in your holiness. Word of God speak. Finding myself in the midst of you, beyond the music, beyond the noise. All that I need is to be with you. In the quiet, hear your voice. Word of God speak. Would you pour down like rain, washing my eyes to see your majesty. To be still and know that you're in this place. Please let me stay and rest. Your holiness, word of God speak. I'm finding myself at a loss of words. Funny thing is, it's okay. The last thing I need is to be heard, but to hear what you would say. Oh, not yet. I am opening, I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening. My heart is ready to receive.
And so we take a moment right now to check in with our hearts and to decide for what we desire to be open, because we don't desire to be open to anything and everything that might get thrown at us. No, we are taking that moment to connect to the spiritual substance that we are, that all good, and then being open to its qualities, expressing in a greater way. And so whatever your heart is saying to you is what is calling you. And somehow what we are doing today will provide the way for that which you are open to be received by you. And that's the truth. And I'm glad I said that in a sentence that made some sense. And so it is.
I am opening, I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening. My heart is ready to receive.
Good morning, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Princeton. We are a loving, healing, and inclusive community which teaches and practices the principles of the science of mind for the well-being of ourselves and of the world. And as Reverend Karen just said, this is the instrument for you to receive your highest good. Love is present in this. And so if you are listening to this, or if you're here in the room, this is the vehicle of love for you. And if you just listen with your ears, with your heart, it's there for you. So a couple of announcements. Susan Neat this Wednesday will be doing a night of a peace-filled evening of meditation and contemplation. That's at 7:30 on Wednesday, and the information is on our website and on our Facebook page. We're also excited to announce our upcoming community gathering after the Sunday service on September 18th. You can look forward to this.
July 18th?
Well, she just sent me this morning. It says September 18th. Is it July 18th?
I think it's July.
Okay, cancel that. It's July 18th.
Stay tuned for more.
We can do it in September too. And what it is we're calling it Hot Diggity Dog. We're going to be having hot dogs. And I'm sure many other things if you're not a hot dog kind of person. Also, next Saturday morning, I will be running a peace meditation the way at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning, and the way to access it will be listed on our Facebook page and on our website. I need to send an announcement to Reverend Karen so she can list it. So this teaching is such an interesting teaching because what we learn is our highest good is always present, sort of waiting for us to listen for it, waiting for us to listen to it at all times. And I've been reading Emma Curtis Hopkins. Some of you are probably familiar with her. She was called the Teacher of Teachers, and I know Reverend Karen has taught some pretty wonderful classes in the past on her teachings. And Ernest Holmes studied with her, and so did many of the other New Thought figures, early 20th century. And I came across this thing which made me think. So Emma Curtis Hopkins used to say, don't say my God is my good. Say my good is my God. Focus on your highest good. What is your highest good? And you're the only one who can know that. By focusing on that, what you focus on expands. So always say, my good is my God. And I came across these things that I was reading. This expectation of good has been a long time waiting for us to declare what our expectations are. To expect good and to be very definite in the mind that it is coming is to see it coming. And then in another place, she says, if ever the name of this good, which is your God, comes to you, do not hesitate to speak it. All the names of your good, which you can name, are right names. Write down the names of your good, which you're seeking. Think over the names of the good which you are seeking. Speak aloud the names of the good you are seeking. That will be naming God. It's a fascinating thing and something that's very specific to the science of mind. Our practice is to improve our lives. Our practice is to grow in everything, in our external lives, our abundance, our relationships, our health, our creativity in our lives, and also to grow within in our hearts and our minds, in understanding the deeper places within ourselves, and to listen to them and to know that there is good and we ought to have it. And she says, such a practice will be manifested in your life. God is not slow to come into the life of him who acknowledges their good. And this reminds me, we during the practitioner class, we went over something that was Ernest Holmes wrote in Creative Mind and Success, one of the early books that he wrote. And he says that if you were to spend 15 minutes a day, twice a day, thinking about your highest good and what your next step for that highest good might be, in 1 year, you will have changed your life. Right? So here's an actual practice that you can do. And I've done it. I will tell you that this works. 15 minutes a day, twice a day. If you can't do it twice a day, do it once a day. Either sit down and write it or make yourself a time and just think about it. What's my highest good? What does it mean for me to have my highest good in every area of my life? In my abundance and finances, in my relationships, all of those, my health, all of those things. What would your highest good look like? And what would the next step be? If you allowed yourself to think about how could you grow in each area of your good, 15 minutes a day and twice a day if you can. In 1 year, you will have changed your life. And isn't that the essence of what this teaching, the science of mind, is about? It's about changing our lives. And by changing our lives, we change the world. I've seen so much in the past few years, a lot of outrage, a lot of anger, a lot of confusion, right? And in this last year and a half, our physical world, we have to stay 6 feet away from each other. Look at what was created in our world. But just think what would be created if each of us spent time every day thinking of how can we move just a little bit, one step out of our comfort zone, in being more loving, in having more in our lives and knowing that having more is a natural thing for us, in having better health and all those things. Ideas, thoughts have power. That power is ours. This is the first thing that Ernest Holmes always says, the first thing you usually hear when you start studying this teaching is, there is a power greater than we are, and we can use it to change our lives and to change the world. So there's something to welcome you into your week and into this service and into the wonderful things that our new practitioner, Gary, will be talking about and what Reverend Karen will be talking about. So thank you so much and welcome to a greater life.
I've never been without, I've never stood in lack. It's only been my thoughts that somehow held me back. It's that still small voice within me that wants to have its say. I close my eyes and listen and let God have its way. I stand before the Holy One and I look into your eyes. I'm reminded of my greatness, of God's complete supply. You mirror what I need to learn, you mirror what I am. You are that loving presence, and now I understand. It's in the children's faces, leaves borne upon the wind. It's in the gentle traces of loving fingers on your skin. It's the trials and the triumphs, it's the losses and the wins. It's everything I've ever known, it's all that God has been. I stand before the Holy One. When I look into your eyes, I'm reminded of my greatness, of God's complete supply. You mirror what I need to learn. You mirror what I am. You are that loving presence, and now I understand. It's in the children's faces, leaves worn upon the wind. It's in the gentle traces of loving fingers on your skin. It's the trials and the triumphs, it's the losses and the wins. It's everything I've ever known. It's all that God has been. Amen. 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 You can join me. Amen. 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 Amen.
Good morning. This morning I wanted to read a couple of very quick things and then do a meditation and treatment. First thing I wanted to read is from a very old Buddhist, Southern Buddhist scripture called Metta Sutta, which roughly translates into the song of the motherhood or loving motherly love. And it reads, "May all beings be at ease, whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great and the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near or far away, those born or to be born. May all beings be at ease. Let none deceive one another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects her life, with her life, her child, her only child, so with boundless heart should one cherish all living beings." Now, one of the things that we teach here is that each and every one of us is one of those living beings and has the birthright to be protected, to be loved and taken care of by the universe. And I had, therefore, a reading from Matthew 6, parts of verse 28 and 29. "Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. Yet I say unto you that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these." And from a poem, "I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud" by William Wordsworth. "I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze, continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle in the Milky Way." We recognize that what is here and now is also universal, and that the same light, the same growth, the same love and beauty that exists within this natural world exists within each one of us and is a gift of spirit. And let me lead a meditation on this. I ask you to sit or stand comfortably, close your eyes if you choose, and imagine yourself like the poet, wandering over green hills, rolling hills, out in the beauty of nature. And coming over the top of a hill, you spot a field of daffodils or of flowers. Perhaps they're lilies of the field. Whatever it is, you come to the edge of that field and you look down, and one of those flowers is glowing, and that glow fills your mind and lights up all the field around it. We know that we can be that light, that light is inside of us and inside of each and everything that you'll encounter, each and every being that you'll encounter. And in this spirit, I would like to treat. There is one power, one love, one presence, one beautiful and loving spirit that fills this universe, fills everything and everyone in it. This power, this love, this beauty, this light is within each and every one of us. And each one hearing this word recognizes that light, enjoys that light, realizes that it is a gift, and that it is present completely everywhere within them. There are no unlit corners, there are no lurking fears. Their mind is shining with that same light, and is shining as and through them to all of this world. I know that this is true, and I release this word through the loving law, in which it is always already so. So it is.
Lay it down and set it free. Let your heart rest and let it be. Lay it down and set it free. Lay it down on the altar of love. I was walking through the season of dark and lonely change, where the world was on my shoulder and my fate was rearranged. I knew I'd never be given more than I could bear. Spirit reassured me there was another way. I could lay it down, I could set it free, let my heart rest, let it be, lay it down, set it free, lay it down on the altar of love. So every single moment I am left with the choice to stay in separation or listen to the voice that beckons me to open and be grateful for every day. It gently reminds me that there is another way. I can lay it down, I can set it free, I can let my heart rest. Let it be, lay it down, set it free, lay it down on the altar of love. Lay it down on the altar of love. Lay it down on the altar of love.
Okay, so this Sunday's talk is part 2 of a talk. I began it last week talking about the fathering principle, or the topic was being the father to yourself. And so in that talk, I said, this is really 2 parts. Next week, I'll talk about being the mother to yourself. And as I said last week about the fathering principle, what we are talking about here with the father principle, the mother principle, the masculine principle, the feminine principle, we're not talking about gender, and we're not talking about gender roles. We're talking about a principle, an essence that is each one of our nature. Each one of us has that fathering principle within us and the mothering principle within us. And so we're not born with only one principle or more of one principle than the other. No, we've got it all. However, as human beings, right, we forget that we have some of these qualities, and we have that right to identify with whatever kind of mix of these qualities that we desire in order to express it. But when we're talking about our spiritual nature and what's possible for us, it would behoove us to claim it all and not to say, oh, I can't have this because I'm not in a particular form. So the fathering, just a little review, the fathering principle is our ability to choose. That masculine aspect of us is think of it as the gardener of a garden. The gardener chooses what to plant. And that's all that it is. Each one of us has this gift of choice. And it is necessary for us to exercise this gift of choice in order to become more and more an authority over our personal lives and not just be a victim of what the world is choosing for itself. And these choices become our beliefs. And so many of our beliefs are unconscious. We never consciously chose it. We are born as a human being, and we inherit the collective choices of the entire human race. And we know that it's a whole mix of confusion, contradictory, and as we become more and more aware of it, we realize it's filled with ideas and beliefs of lack, loss, and limitation. And it's filled with a need for everything to be yes or no, black or white, instead of that gray area or that area of something never seen before. So to realize that each one of us has this right to choose what we've already seen, what we've already experienced, but also we have that gift to think of something that has never been seen before, to be able to choose something that no human being has ever chosen before. That's the gift that we have with this fathering principle. And so it needs to be exercised, because today we talk about the mothering principle. And the mothering principle, or the feminine principle, is the soil. It's the law that takes what the gardener has planted and creates something. It produces what has been planted. And the first thing we have to remember about the law or the mothering principle or the soil is it's going to create something. And so if we haven't planted anything, it will create a whole bunch of weeds. I have a little backyard City Slickers gardening kit that I bought last year. And in it, I planted some basil and I planted some tomato plants, and that's what grew in it. The basil did very well. The tomato plants, maybe I did some things wrong in the nurturing of what was going on there, but whatever. That's all that grew in there. And so this year, I had to clean it all up. And the little tarp that had protected it from the weeds growing and stuff had disintegrated. And so as I pulled that off, all these weeds came up. They weren't there last year. Last year, I was the gardener, the City Slickers gardener with my little gardening bed. And I followed the directions and I planted it and stuff grew. I mean, I had tomato plants that were 3 feet tall. Well, actually, they were pretty, not much tomatoes came out of it, but, they were there. They were growing. They were thriving. But this year, there's no tomato plants coming up. There's no leftover basil coming up. There's a bunch of weeds coming up. I didn't plant the weeds. And so, what we need to realize about this creative principle, this mothering principle that's present in us, it is always creating. It has to. And if we don't plant something for it to bring forth, it's got to create something. So it's going to create out of what we unconsciously believe as a part of the human race. And so we have all the experiences, a lot of it good, and some of it we clearly don't like when we're not using the fathering principle to choose what to plant to that mothering principle that is automatically creating. Now, these are just terms that the science of mind teaching uses. So if you're talking about another theory of life or how to live life or another topic, another subject matter, it's got different definitions. But these are science of mind definitions that were created so that we can understand how to be a wise gardener. Now, the thing about the gardener, and it was present in everything that was said, boy, just about every song Reverend Rich sang, and what Gary said and John said, this consciousness of letting it be. When we're talking about the mothering principle, we want to learn how to let the soil do what the soil knows how to do. And as human beings, we've got life all confused. Usually as a human being, we really don't make much in the way of choices. Oh, it is what it is. All right, I'm going to respond rather than react to what's happening, but I'm not thinking in terms of causing to have something created in my world, right? So we're pretty much, say, unaware and choiceless. And then we're trying to help the law along by, well, I don't like what the law is producing from my choiceless state, so let me try to, make something else happen without having used the fathering principle. We need to realize that these two principles are a part of us, and in the real true sense, they're one principle. We're just describing it in a way. In science of mind terminology, we're describing it in a way so that we can use it. As John said, Ernest Holmes said, there is a power greater than we are. What is that power? It's the mothering principle. And we can use it. Using it is using the fathering principle. As I teach in classes, in the science of mind, we've got 3 terms to understand how the creative process in the individual works: spirit, soul, body, or choice, law, creation. And what I say is we've got the creator, that's the fathering principle, the creative law, that's the magic that makes it happen, and then we have the creation. So it's the fathering principle together with the mothering principle that makes creation happen. And if you don't have the creator making a decision, nothing new gets created. And if you didn't have the creative process, a principle for things to get happening, nothing gets created. So it is a trinity: creator, creative process, and creation. And you can't separate it. It's all one. So we need to be clear that our whole world is manifesting this entire trinity, that we are the creators using a creative process, organically evolving out into the forms that are our world. And it's one. And we're always using it, choiceless or not. When we are choiceless, we are a victim of the weeds, the fillers, that that mothering principle. It's got to create something. Creativity is ongoing and continuous. It never stops. You can think of it on the universal level as that divine, infinite mind of God is creating this universe continuously. There's not a break in the creation of the universe. There's this moment, and then this moment, and this moment, and this moment. Everything's moving around. The divine creator, omnipresent, is always creating its entire manifestation, which is this entire universe and everything in it. And yet it seeks to create something even more and more wonderful. It has a natural tendency to grow, to be more of itself, to be more freedom, to be more joy, to be more wonderful, more empowering. And we human beings have the ability to participate in that ongoing creativity, natural creativity that is always happening. We have an ability, a gift to participate, to throw our choice into the mix. Now, this is an interesting piece. Let's see how it works. Dr. Ernest Holmes has in his textbook this tremendous statement: love points the way, and the law makes the way possible. Love points the way, and the law makes the way possible. And the mothering principle is the law. And as human beings, we think of the mothering principle as the love. So right there, everything just got all mixed up, right? I've been guided in recent years when I released my spiritual mind treatment into the law to make it so. I've been guided to say the loving law. So as human beings, when I first, particularly, I'll talk about myself, when I first came into this teaching, I loved the idea of the law. Like gravity is a law. There's a mental law. I choose something and the law makes it happen. And because of my issues being raised with strong authority figures and little expression of connection or emotion, I really didn't know what the quality of love was all about. I had a very undeveloped idea of what love was about. And so I loved to direct the law. And when I began teaching here at the Center for Spiritual Living Princeton in the first few years, and if you read the Science of Mind textbook by Dr. Ernest Holmes, there were students that would say, it's all about the law. It's always about the law. Where's the love? Where's the love? And as I grew in my own spiritual unfoldment in the quality of love, and the way I grew was by claiming love. I am love. I am loved, lovable, and loving. And eventually it morphed into a spiritual guidance that would say to me, Karen, shut up. Let love step in. Let love speak through you. Let love show you the way. And so my relationship with love, that quality that was always present within me, grew and developed. And I believe, well, I know I'm a whole lot more of an expresser and beinger and believer myself to be love than I was 25 years ago when I was an expert on the law. And in that development of love, I've begun seeing how loving the law is. Think about earthly mothers, and you think of love. Even before she really got into the act, that divine symbol of love as that womb, and we all have been there. That I can say for sure. Well, as far as has been measured so far, maybe there's someone in our audience who came to this planet another way. That's fine. Inclusivity. Um, but out of nothing, somehow in this womb, two ideas became one. And out of nothing, the material, this out of the substance that was provided within the womb in some sort of way that nobody can figure out, a whole human form developed. That was done by the law. But it's thought of as being the highest demonstration of love. That lilies of the valley that are so taken care of, we experienced that already in that divine and earthly womb. Without our help, without our guidance, we got formed, the body that we are got created and presented to this world with some human beings who were lovingly guided by the law of love, to take care of us in the best way that they could, which granted might not have been so great, but it got us to where we are now. Thank you. This is the law operating, but it cannot be separated from the truth that this was love operating. And so in this science of mind aspect of love and law, we want to realize they cannot be separated. And it's we human beings in our confused or unaware state coming into such a teaching as this who has segregated our world into male, female, and male roles and female roles and gender and this, whatever, all of that ignorance of the tremendous possibility of choices that are available to us was just a starting spot, and it's not the end of the story. I remember when I was 9 years old, I was keeping a little diary. It wasn't much of a diary, and I still have it. It was a little pink diary with a lock. I don't have the lock anymore, because at 9 years old, these are secrets here. And I think it was a 5-year diary, so I had like 4 lines for each thing. And I wrote in it from time to time, but I wrote in it a lot when I was 9 years old, when I first got the diary. And in that diary was this person, Karen, who believed she had to make a decision about her life. And the decision that she had to make was, am I a tomboy or am I a lady? And I debated this in my little diary, and I decided I am a lady. And so I had to give up climbing trees and jumping out of them and, racing around the neighborhood. And I became feminine. My best guess at what feminine would look like. At 9 years old, you can imagine. There was a song at the time that Haley Mills sang called Femininity. Walk feminine, talk feminine, hide the real you. If he makes a joke, laugh loudly. Be what he wants you to be. Hide the real you. This was my theme song in embodying that choice that I made, be a lady. I thought it was a good choice. I regretted giving up climbing trees because, boy, I loved to climb a tree. I loved it. And a couple of years after I made this decision, I did a little review of that, the road not taken. And I climbed up this giant tree. in my backyard, and I crawled all the way out on this long limb that went out over my neighbor's yard. And fear took me over, and I couldn't get down. And so I was sitting in a tree, stuck, terrified. And my mother had to come out and coax me down. Where did that fear come from? It came from that decision. I am a this, and I cannot be that. And I guess along with this choice was, you can't be brave, you can't be courageous, you can't get yourself down out of a tree. You need help, honey. You're a lady. Well, ignorance of what is possible for us doesn't make it okay. And as we are living our lives, right, in today's world, 100 years, over 100 years of the first time the word quantum was used, over 100 years of the science of mind teaching, over 100 years of Emma Curtis Hopkins, over 100 years of the human race thinking about their spiritual truth and speaking these truths, all these, a century of new thought thinking has opened up in the human race's consciousness these realizations that, my gosh, more and more choice is available to us than we thought there was. And we're claiming it and upsetting a whole lot of people, right? But we're claiming it, and that's the good thing. The human race is bit by bit embodying this idea of the fathering principle, and I can choose. And what we want to now get up to that same level of choosing is the mothering principle. Let the law, let the soil take our choices and guide us and show us the way and do the creation for us. Who was it saying? I think it was one of Reverend Rich's songs. You said something about being at peace, let it be. I don't, okay, so there was some thought about knowing peace. Who said that? Or I know the altar of love, but there was even the lilies of the valley. The thing is, it was Gary, right? So that meditation, let the world be peace. What is mindful Buddha? What was that meditation?
The reading was medicine, the motherly.
The words, Gary. May we all know peace.
As a mother protects her only child, their life, so may we protect everyone.
Yes.
All living beings.
Right, but the advice was, let us know peace. Let us, anybody know what we're going for? Okay, divine wisdom will let us know. The thing is that if you know that the law is a law of love, and if you know that the law is intelligent, and if you know that the law of love cares about you and knows what you need, you're going to be peaceful. You're not going to worry about anything ever. If you know that there is a law that works, you will be able to trust it. And when you're trusting that there is a power greater than I am, and I can use it, that there is a power greater than I am, and I can trust it. When you know it, you're really using this mothering principle at its utmost. And you're spending your time listening to the loving wisdom guide you as to what you should choose. And then you are allowing that loving principle, creative principle, to evolve you and your world so that you become an expression, a demonstration, a manifestation of what you chose. In other words, you are the start of the creative activity in your life, always. So our lives are designed, divinely designed, to be the gardeners and not the soil. We are not meant to dig into the soil and help it along. We are there to choose what we want to identify with, what we want to experience, what we want to express, what we want to become, lady or tomboy, or, oh, I don't have to choose. I am a tomboy climbing lady, or a lady climbing tomboy, or an elegant tomboy, a tomboy that dances up the tree in chains and tattoos and a tiara. Infinite possibilities yet to be. So to be that wise gardener in the choosing, and choosing not what the world has already experienced, what's all the dregs of what's already been created. I'm just like my mother, who was just like her mother, who was just like their mother, or or you're just like your father and his father, and blah 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 blah. I mean, I'm not the third or the fourth after the name of anything. I'm not a human history. I am not a human history. That is, being a human history is being a victim of what was past. Last week we talked, Dr. Stuart Grayson in Spiritual Healing said that we're not even a victim of a date, right? A date is just something made up, but just because there's a date that the rent is due, we are not a victim of the date. We need to be really clear. All the shoulds and this is the way it is of the world wiped away, because I have infinite possibilities yet to choose from. And out of that, I can allow the loving wisdom that is omnipresent to become a part of what I accept in my thinking, and it can give to me a new and totally startling idea that no human being has ever thought of before. And in receiving this idea, I can choose it, and I don't have to figure out how to make it happen. Because the loving, nurturing womb, the mothering principle, knows how to make something out of nothing. And it's given this idea by us, the gardener, and it immediately goes to work. And if in the production, the creation of this new idea that we have chosen, something about us needs to be changed, that loving law will let us know. That's the part we don't like. But we have to remember, we were the chooser. We were the chooser. And so we aspire to happily cooperate and participate in the changes that we are clearly guided that we have to make. When I was that city slicker gardener of last year, every day I had a pipe in my little gardening thing that went down from the, above, it went down into the soil all the way to the bottom, and it needed to be filled with water every day. And so I'd go out there every morning with, a little measuring cup of water, and I would fill it and go back in and get more water and go out and pour it in the pipe some more, see if it was on, its limit, but it wouldn't be. So I'd have to go back in and out 5 or 6 times to fill what was drunk up the night before. I had to participate. I don't like that, personally. Wake up in the morning, open the kitchen sliding glass door, make sure the cat doesn't get out, go out there, all my neighbors are looking at me, and I look like whatever I look like, to fill this thing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I could have gotten a larger jug to fill it, Divine loving principle did give me that thought. And I went, too much trouble to get a larger jug. So much more easier for Karen, who's resisting a little bit of change here, to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But I did it. And this year, I'm not. So not a whole lot of change happened there. You know why I'm not? I didn't get enough tomatoes to make it worth my while. So for those of you out there, if you all have gardens with an abundance of tomatoes, let that loving law guide you. There are other ways for me to enjoy the fruits of the garden, right? But so we realize that this mothering principle is nurturing us. And just like in that womb, there we were for, 9 or so months, getting beautifully formed, generally, gently figuring out there's noises out there, getting nicely fed, and I really like it here. And then there was the day when we could be there no more. And kicking and screaming or gently moving out, it depends on you. I was a forceps baby. Explains a lot. I ain't coming out. I like it here. I had to be dragged out by my head. I was. What can I say? But I don't have to identify with that, right? And neither do you. We've been given these gifts of love, law, loving law, lawful love. They are one. Every one of us has full and complete access to all that is possible with it. We are the ones who choose. And our lives are meant to be so easy by choosing and letting the loving law create. And so, with that in mind, let's take a moment and contemplate this. And I will come back and do a spiritual mind treatment to support us in authorizing the good that we desire to be created and to let the law do it. And so while we're contemplating, let's contemplate Reverend Rich.
Here we go. I am the center of divine attraction. All things are pure and blessed things, come to me now. I am the center of divine attraction. All things are pure and blessed things, come to me now. What I choose to focus on is what I get to see. Every thought I'm sending out comes flying back to me. By seeking peace and seeing love already here for me, I activate and celebrate the wondrous working power. The power tells me I am the center of divine attraction. All things are pure and blessed things, come to me now. I speak my word and claim my good is here throughout my day. I keep the faith and let the light of spirit lead my way. That limitless creative law is working now for me. It's breathing life into my thoughts, for it's done as I believe. And I believe that I am the center of divine attraction. All things are pure and blessed things, come to me now. All pure and blessed things come to me now. All pure and blessed
The words of Ernest Holmes. Right, that's your song, right?
No, that's David Alt and Karen Drucker.
David Alt, Karen
and Ernest Holmes.
and Ernest Holmes. There we are.
You
It was a
didn't know it?
spiritual mind treatment in song. All right, so let's have another spiritual mind treatment. So this word is being spoken for each one. This word is being spoken with wisdom and with love and with crystal clarity that there is a law, a mothering principle that responds to it and makes it so. And so each one is made of that pure, loving substance. And all that is good, all that is the truth of all, the Father, the Mother, the law, the love, all of it is present within each one, as well as for each one, there exists now infinite possibilities yet to be. And so each one now selects from the infinite possibilities yet to be something that he or she desires to experience, embody, and express, to have, to be, to do, something that he or she has never seen in fact before. And in selecting that something new, something greater than what has gone on before, the all-intelligent, all-powerful, all-loving law accepts as easily as the soil accepts the seed, and with harmony and with grace and with ease, does all that it knows how to do to take this divine new idea and make it manifest as done, as fact in each one's world. Each one is a fully formed, fully embodied expression of this new idea that he or she has chosen to become. And so all of life, all of love, all the power and the intelligence of the entire universe is for it. And there is nothing in this universal presence of love against it. This is truth. I am grateful that this is truth. I release this word to that loving law, the mothering principle. I know it is done. And each one relaxes and lets it be done and cooperates with it too. And so it is done, and done very well. And so it is. And that's the way it is. Take us out of here.
So it is. So it is. So it is. So it is.